Well, good to be with everybody here. Got a little bit of a different week, obviously, with this in our mindset is a kind of a Tuesday type prep, but it's exciting. But first of all, I know we've had another bad hurricane come through down in Florida, and just really, I know there's a lot of people affected by that. We've got families and recruits and things like that impacted. So definitely thinking about them and keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. But just want to remember everyone down there in Florida that was affected by the hurricane. But it is game week for us here, and we're super excited. I mean, finally, it's just you never have this much time to get ready to play a game. So it's awesome to be able to finally get here, even though, again, it's just kind of Tuesday for us. We have to kind of temper our enthusiasm a little bit because we still got some work to do from a prep standpoint. But I'm just excited to see us play. That's the biggest thing. I'm excited to see us go play somebody, see where we're at, and listen. This is Duke is it's a really good football team coming off a great year. Got a ton of respect for Coach Elko. It's an incredibly well-coached team, and a tough opener. And those of you who've been around here, y'all heard me say many times. I mean, openers are probably the hardest game. I don't really care who you play because there's just so many unknowns, especially in today's world of college football. There's so many unknowns, whether it be coaching changes or personnel or whatever. So you have to spend time watching other people. Maybe it's a transfer that came in, so you got to try and figure this guy out. So you're watching tape that's really not relevant to a game plan standpoint, but you just got to you're trying to figure out who you're playing, or it's a coaching change or whatever, or just young players moving up. So there's always a lot, and then just a lot of time to get ready. And then you haven't played football. We don't get. You'd feel a lot better if you were coming off a couple preseason games, right, where you had a much better feel for your own team in a game situation. So definitely a tough opener, and then you throw in the fact it's on the road and it's a conference game. So this is a huge opportunity for both teams, within our league, and then again you throw in the fact that you're playing a very, very good team that lost 4 games last year, I think by 14 total points. And so this is a good football team, every sense of the word, and probably the biggest thing you would say is there's experience. I mean, they got thousands of snaps of football under their belt across the board, especially when you look at them defensively. I mean, they got 19 starters back combined, but even the guys backups have played a lot of snaps. So this is an incredibly experienced team, and we're an experienced team. So it's 2 really experienced teams going at it in a conference game on the road, Monday night, Labor Day, different kind of routine and schedule. So it's going to be a lot of fun to be a part of it. And again, just looking forward to seeing us open this thing up. And we really have one goal, that's to win the opener. Always has been. I guess this is my 15th year now, and we've not had a championship team that didn't win the opener. So. It's an important game, and if you look at the history of Clemson, I think there's 27 conference championship teams here, and I think it's like 24-2-1. Those championship teams, they won the opener, so it's a big game. That's why it's a goal of its own. You don't win the world title or lose the world title in one game, but it's a very, very important goal for us, and always has been. And so excited to see us go compete.
You've gone against Coach Elko's defenses, going back to his time at Texas A&M and Wake before that. Just year 2 for him, so he's still getting his personnel and all that. But what are some common characteristics of his defenses in the past?
Rarely beat themselves. I mean, when you watch, you just keep watching the tape. Rarely is somebody out of position. They rarely give up a big play bust. Where somebody's just absolutely, you know it when you see it, right? Sometimes everybody make plays. Football's football, but rarely do they beat themselves. Very, very smart, very well coached. Their eyes are always where they need to be, and just a fundamentally sound group, always has been. And I think if you really look at his track record and his background, even before Wake, that characteristic has always shown up. So, a new coordinator was with him at Wake and came over from A&M as well. But just a defense that plays hard, plays smart, and you have to finish against this group. You got to put drives together, and you have to finish, and then they take the ball away at an alarmingly high rate. Led the nation last year in fumble recoveries and second in turnover margin. So they did a good job of taking care of the ball on offense, and they did an amazing job of creating turnovers. So again, I think a lot of that is coached. They do a really, really good job, and they buy into it. And again, they use their personnel in a very, very good way. And you get in some third and longs on these guys, you'll see some exotic type stuff. So well coached group.
How much harder does it make it for any defense when you have a quarterback who can do so much with his legs?
Yeah, that's why the game has changed so much, because, I remember when I first started going here, when I hired Chad back in 2011, the conversation was you're never going to win, with a quarterback that's, you're running your quarterback or whatever, and your defense ain't going to be good because of, style of play and all that stuff. And now here we are going, 14 years later and turn on the NFL. And you're not going to win if you got a quarterback can't move. Just not. I mean, you have to have there's not many Tom Brady's left out there, that's just going to sit there and, have the ability to beat you with his mind only and his arm talent. It's a game of space, and you have to, and it's not like now some teams have different philosophies in the way they go about doing things. I'm not talking about, lining up, running quarterback power, 10 times a game. I'm talking about being able to extend plays, create in space, and create space for your receivers by extending, whether it's resetting in the pocket, whether it's up and out, or it's moving the launch point, whatever it is, and then when people try to play coverage, being able to keep your offense on schedule, taking those 5 yards, take those 6 yards, and it's a problem. I mean, and if you look around the best offenses in the country and the best offenses in the NFL, that's what you see. You see a quarterback who can throw the football, but he's smart, and he can, again, create, extend, and keep his offense on schedule by, okay, this is what you're giving me, I'll take that. And so that's a problem. And this guy, I didn't know much about him, honestly, until last year, and certainly when we started studying him to get ready to play for him. But, man, he's a really good football player. I mean, this guy's a problem. A lot of people, I think of him, because he's the leading rusher, leading attempts and leading touchdown guy. But he's a very accurate thrower. I mean, he is he's a 63-4% guy, but he's incredible. He can make all the throws. He's got an incredibly veteran group of receivers that are really talented. They're all shifty and quick and, good runners with the ball after the catch. A couple big tight ends, some big old hogs up front that are well coached, led by that left tackle they got, three backs. I mean, this is a complete group, but he makes them go because he's a problem. You cover everybody up, and next thing you know, here he goes. Whether it's just off-schedule play, and if you really watch them, some of their biggest plays came off of off-schedule plays. And so he's a really, really fast dude, and when he gets in space, he can leave you. He can run away from you. So, and he's big and he's strong, so he can break tackles, and it puts a lot of pressure. All can look great on the board, but he's a guy that's hard to get down. They were fewest in sacks last year in our league, and one of the fewest in the country. So, they got a good scheme. The ball comes out quick. He doesn't hold it long, and he's hard to tackle when you do get a hold of him.
Is it a good thing for your defensive secondary to get a test this early?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we need to we need to see where we are. I mean, I think we're a really experienced team. I mean, this is one of the more experienced groups that we've had. I think we're built in the trenches on both sides. I mean, we're excited about what we have there. But they're going to get tested because this is a really good group of receivers, very experienced, going against an experienced group of DBs that have played a lot of football and have kind of had their battles as well. So, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us, to see where we are as a team and no matter what happens in the game, how we go get better. It's a long season ahead. So this is definitely a big challenge, because it's a complete team, running game, passing game, quarterback, OL.
Tyler Brown backing up Antonio in the slot and also back up on returns. What have you seen from him in camp that gives you such confidence in him?
He's just a really good football player. I mean, he can really run. Surprised in that just hadn't, because I hadn't, you haven't coached him yet. You see the skill and all that, but just how quickly he's been able to pick things up. And he's got really, really good ball skills, strong hands. He's a great finisher, after the catch. He's got some compact power to him, which I didn't really expect that this early from him. But he plays bigger than he is. Plays with some length, plays with extension. Which I didn't really, again, he's not a big guy, but he plays a lot bigger than he is. But he's done a great job. He and Tink have really shown that they could help us, and we're trying to hold Tink if we can. We'll see how it all works out. But he's ready to play too. I mean, but there's just only so many snaps, and where we are right now with Antonio, so all those guys are going to play. How much they play will determine the course of the season. But Tyler just kind of, has competed with everybody out there. I mean, he's competed with Antonio. He's competed with everybody. I mean, as he's really got. And here's a kid that came in the summer. So, just a natural football player that I think he's got a really bright future for us.
Coach Riley called him yesterday fearless. Is that
Yeah.
what you see from him, and does that make you feel comfortable with him on the road as a true freshman in his first game?
Yeah, I mean, again, you got to go play, but what we've seen in practice, I mean, you still got to have some. You're going against some dudes in practice here too. So it's not like he's going against chopped liver every day, and he's had a fearless approach to it, all camp, and he never really hit the wall. He just, which was unusual for a freshman as well. I mean, he's got a lot of joy to him. He's got a great spirit, and he's got a little air of confidence, and he's got an unbelievable competitive fire to him. But definitely a fearless football player.
What are you most proud of your group coming out of fall camp? Is there anything that surprised you or is making you extra excited about this group with their own unique identity that they've created?
Just how they showed up every day. I mean, honestly, I think we had one bad day, out of the whole, camp. I think we had one day where I didn't feel like, it is what it needed to be. And those are, where it had to be kind of coach-led. And I'm happy to do that if I need to. But in some teams, you have to do that more than others, and that's just part of it. That's part of coaching is kind of figuring out, what you got to do to get this team to where they need to be. But these guys showed up every day, and they had a great, spirit to them. They had a great focus every day, and it was a very competitive camp, and I didn't see. I thought they had a lot of fun. I didn't really see anybody really hit the wall, with that. There were some young guys and stuff, but those older guys, and again, that's not that camp. In fact, our, I think we were about 20% more than maybe what we've been since about 2017 as far as how we track all that stuff from a load standpoint. But these guys really, man, they showed up every day and battled. And it's a close group. So, I like where we are. I mean, you got to go play the game, but I think coming out of camp, the thing I'm probably most proud of is I see a team, and that's camp is where that has to really gel. And I think this team's got good chemistry, you know, if they'll go play like they've practiced, we got a chance to be a good football team.
What are you most excited about Monday night, seeing for I know there's things that you think you know, but what are you most excited? Like, I can't wait to actually have that unfold in front of me.
You know, I want to see our offensive line. You know, I think these guys, I mean, they're excited to go play, and I want us to win, you know, because of them. And I hope that's what I see. I'm excited to see these guys play. These guys have put in a lot of work. It's a tough group. You know, they're a close group. We've got some depth. We've got some guys that deserve to play, and you know, I think expectations are high for our defensive line, as they should be, and I certainly want to see them be them, but I don't think people expect much from our OL for whatever reason. You know, I'm excited to see these guys go play.
Dabo, you only get one first impression. How do you hope this team impresses on night one?
Well, it looked like we've been in a month of camp. You know, let's look like we've practiced. You know, the openers are, again, you know you're going to have some mistakes and things like that, but just play, you know, a clean game in where you don't lose to Clemson. You know, just stupid turnovers, you know, stupid plays in special teams, you know, crazy after the whistle type penalties, you know, just simple, you know, delays of game, those type of things is what you hope you don't see. You know, I just want us to be a team that looks confident, a team that looks together, a team that plays fast, plays tough, plays physical, and you know, if we can do that, then you can live whatever result you get.
Being Sadler as co-stars at left tackle, just your evaluation of that spot, and Garrett mentioned they might both play.
Oh, yeah,
both in that same
yeah.
position or across the line.
Yeah, well, we've got some position flexibility within our line, but both those guys will certainly play. Both have earned it. You know, I think we have 7 starters in the offensive line, but I think they're going to only let us run 5 out there. If we could run 7 out, we would. But we really see Colin and Mitchell Mays as starters. I mean, that's just how we see it. And, you know, I look at Maffa and Shipley as starters. You know, we could run 2 of them out there together, but, you know, that means we got one of those receivers are out, right? Or tight ends out, whatever the personnel is. So, you know, we have, for the first time in a few years, we've got really good depth. But I see those 7 guys as starters, and again, I think we got 8, 9, 10 that should play, can play, and will play. And then the competition goes from there. We've kind of taken things as far as we can go in practice. Now you got to go to the games, and the competition continues, and you let guys continue to compete and play, and hopefully they both play well and you keep rolling. But we've got some really good. I think we got 6 tackles on this group, on this team that can play winning football for us. 6 legit tackles that give us the ability to play at a high level, and you know, so I'm excited about the group. But it'll start there with Tristan and Colin, and they'll definitely both play. And you know, hopefully, my expectations they're both going to play really well. That's what I've seen in practice. That's why they're listed the way they are.
Tristan is a guy that showed up 5-star, but not really in shape to play. COVID had hurt him in high school, but his teammates say that nobody works harder. What have you seen out of him that allowed him to kind of not only transform his body, but just keep his head down and work and not pout and sulk?
Humility and self-awareness. You know, that's usually you don't see that a lot when you're maybe dealing with a 5-star recruit that's been told how great he is for his whole life, and they, you know, a lot of times they've by far been the best player wherever they are, and then you show up and next thing you know they forget that, you know, they got to work, and it's different. But Tristan, you know, his situation is unique because he obviously didn't have a season, and he's a big guy, And he, when you watch the tape and him coming out of high school, it's easy to see why he was rated so high and all those things. But that wasn't the guy that showed up here. I thought somebody had kidnapped that guy. I went back and watched the tape myself. Like, what did I miss here? What in the world? How could I be so wrong? That was kind of my mindset initially. Like, this guy may never play. Because he was so far from being able to play. He physically was not, he was weak. His body was in a bad spot. And I think mentally he wasn't where he needed to be. And it was obvious, like, from the moment he got here, like, oh boy. And Linthicum wasn't much better. But again, another guy didn't get to play football. And, you don't get better at football not playing football. This, especially when you're a big guy. And so, but to his credit, he was a kid early on that did not run from that. Like, you have to coach Tristan Lee. Like, he wants to be coached. He wants feedback or criticism or whatever. He really wants that. And early on, it was like, man, wow. I mean, honestly, my mindset was, man, I don't know how we missed like this, because he just physically couldn't do what we needed him to do, and he didn't look like he looked on tape. But I think his confidence wasn't what it needed to be. But to his credit, that kid went to work and he had complete self-awareness. Like, he saw it. Like, everything we said, we're like, yep, you're exactly right. But you know what? So what are you gonna do about it? And, man, that kid, okay, you're not very strong. Well, now he's strong. Your body's not in a very good spot. Now he's elite. He's really and he's not even as good as he's going to be. He's just a redshirt sophomore. He's played like 70 snaps, So, he's a work in progress. And then he's got to learn the game. Man, this guy's a sponge. And his effort's always been phenomenal. But I watched that kid. I mean, he'd be out there early. He would be out there after practice, get no reps, and he'd be running. He'd do whatever he needed to do. He's in the film room. He's getting extras constantly. He'd be with Coach Hogan in the weight room constantly, And then last year as a redshirt freshman, he knew he still wasn't ready. As I always say, he was just kind of been in the crock pot for 2 years around here. And, but he's not – he didn't have a problem with that. He didn't run from that. Like, a lot of kids will run from that, because they don't really want the truth. And he did. And, man, this kid, I've never been more proud of a guy. This guy has worked his tail off to become the player that he is right now, and a chance to be a starter for the Tigers. Ain't nobody's giving him anything. This kid has worked his tail off, and he is one of the most respected guys on this team. And he's going to have some ups and some downs, but I'll go to battle with old Tristan Lee any day. This guy's he's made of the right stuff. And again, his best football's in front of him, but he's ready to play. He's ready to play. And, again, don't expect him to play perfect, but I expect him to be a consistent performer for us, throughout the course of the year. And I'm excited to see him have the opportunity because, man, he has truly earned it in every sense of the word. And just he's what it's all about, just having that mindset. Last guy we had like that was KJ Henry. KJ was you guys that have been around here, he's the first guy that ever came to me and redshirted himself in the middle of the season after he'd had 2 sacks at Wake Forest. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we need you. And he's like, no, Coach, I am not strong enough. And if I don't get into power hour, I'm not going to be a great player here. And I'm like, so I made a deal with him. I'm like, okay, well, if nobody gets hurt, we'll do this. But all bets are off if we lose somebody, And KJ was very self-aware that way. Didn't really compare himself to other people. That's one of the things I loved about KJ. And he just got better and better and better and better. He was a long way from a 5-star when he got here, just from a physical standpoint, whether it be in the run game. He wasn't very strong, just kind of an athlete. But he left here, and now he's playing for the Commanders. I see Tristan in that same light. It's just, again, a lot of self-awareness that really wants to be coached and then will go put the work in to do what you ask him to do to get better.
How
how did the team